Welcome, everyone. This is Brandon Adams, your coach. This is the Core 4 show. This is the interview for the Core 4 show, and we have a special guest. It's interesting because as a leader in this space and really focusing on helping people get from where they are to where they want to be, you look for mentors. You look for people who've been there before. You look for people that are consistent. You look for people that are stable. I learned about this young man that we're bringing on back in 2013. And back then they said that he was the guru of Forex trading. And so I said I wanted to learn from him. And through the years of me having issues and not being able to stay focused and all the rest of the stuff, I noticed that he kept getting better and better and better and better and better at being a professional. And what is a professional really? A professional is somebody that understands that there is a pattern that's forming. Could be in anything. And from that pattern, they have developed a skill set. And they know what the highest probability of success is for that particular pattern to be successful. And so what happens is that now you take the pattern, you take the skill, and it's your processing speed that gets you to that solution. And those that have the highest probability of success in terms of skill set, understanding what the pattern is, and then their processing speed to get that skill into that pattern window, man, that's a pro. We watch it in basketball, we watch it in football, we watch it in baseball, and we watch it in the markets. Because the markets are volatile. They're moving all around and all the rest of the stuff. So when those patterns are forming, who's able to enter those patterns? Who knows when to say, hey, don't do anything. This is not the right time. That's a pro. And so today we have the pleasure of having somebody that actually works with Core 4 on a daily, on a weekly basis. And so my job is to help you as a community get to know on a regular basis who these people are, so that you know that they belong not only in front of your phone or in front of your computer, but they could be someone that should be in your living room. They should be helping to guide you. I was talking with somebody earlier today and helping them to understand what Core 4 was all about. And I said to him, I said, and this was the first time I said it, I'm going to be using this all the time. When you're a kid and you're taking a test and there's a teacher that's proctoring the test, if you know that somebody is a straight A student and they're prepared for that test, don't you want to lean over that shoulder and see what their answer is compared to yours to see if you're getting it right? Because you know they are. Because they did the heavy lifting. They did all the work to be prepared for that test. Well, that's called cheating. And so for cheating, you get thrown out of school. For cheating, you get suspended. But at Core 4, we encourage you to cheat because we have some of the top traders, top performers consistently day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out. And all you have to do is look over their shoulder. And they're happy to have you to do that. And now cheating becomes success. Cheating becomes something that's predictable because they're encouraging you to get the support that you need to see what they're doing so you can make better choices for yourself and your family. So without further ado, we're going to introduce you to Chris Pulver. But before I introduce you to Chris, I want you to listen to every single word that this young man has to say, because what he's saying is what we all need to be hearing. And until you really get that, until you get what he's all about, you're not going to get it in just this one session. You're going to need to watch this video over and over and over again. And at the end of this, on giving you guys something special. So without further ado, everybody, here's Chris Pulver. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Brandon. Thanks for having me on the show.
Man, thank you. I mean, shoot, I have you every Sunday, so I'm grateful that we're able to do this too. When people see you on the show, Chris, they don't really understand all the work that you put into being able to have 3 minutes of talk time, right? Because for you, it's not enough.
Right.
But the reality is, they don't really understand all of the stuff that goes into being Chris Pulver and what you have to do to maintain your level of excellence on a daily basis, on a moment by moment basis, how you have to keep your mindset. Everything that we talk about with Core 4, you're doing. And what you're doing is you're doing it not only as a teacher, but you're doing it in terms of how you structure Streamwise Capital. You're doing it in terms of how you've structured your own trading. And so I'm just honored to have you as a part of the Core 4 family. And I want the world to get to spend about 20, 30 minutes with just you and I,
Mhm.
and to understand who you really are and why you became the Chris Pulver that so many people around the world respect and count on to learn from and to make sure that they can cheat off of you. So tell us a little bit. Where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Purdue University.
Okay. And I'm disappointed that you didn't go to Miami. We'll talk about that later.
Right.
But you do love basketball.
Not a lot
So
of competition there. I mean, Big Ten. Big Ten never gets a lot of credit or respect until it's like, oh wow, they've got 10 teams that make the NC2A tournament, and then they're out the first round.
That's that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So, so the deal is, so you went to Purdue, and how did you, just real brief, how did you get into introduced into the forex? Because that's really where you started. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd like to take a step back. Like right when I went to college, I was kind of introduced to the markets. So graduation money, head down to Indiana, leaving Michigan. My brother was in grad school at Purdue as well, so he's 8 years older than I am, and so he's always been, big brother and a mature big brother. So he had, my best interests at heart, and had good intentions for me. So I opened up a Roth IRA when I was 18,
Mhm.
and I didn't know really the benefits or the purpose of a Roth IRA, but just doing a little bit of digging and exploring to see that it's basically a retirement vehicle, and it's tax-free growth, that made me want to start participating in the stock market. So it started investing and trading pretty early on, from basically 18 years old, with a Roth IRA. And my brother and I started an investment club. We ended up getting some friends, some family. My brother was a professor at the time in Indiana, at a small Division II school, and so he had some colleagues involved. We had about 15 members. Every month we put in some dues. We were in the markets passively, screening, looking at fundamentals. Nothing really active, but like every month, just if we had cash, we'd like something, agree on something, take a vote, buy it. And one thing that I learned over this horizon is that's 24 years ago. So
Mhm.
just being a participant in the markets in general, there is a amazing probability of being profitable in the markets by just being a participant. Um, so that was a solid, like, 6 or 7 year runway of just passive investing, being a part of this stock group.
Sure.
And I wanted to travel. I wanted to play golf. That was one of my favorite sports. So I was a basketball and golf guy, growing up. And when basketball looked like it wasn't going to be something I could do the way I wanted to do it in college, then I fell back into golf. And um, I thought, if I can, let's say it was, a 5 year goal. I'm going to try to play. I'm going to try to travel. If I can justify like going around the world, checking out all these golf courses and seeing all the sites and trying to play, that'd be awesome. But if I could work and teach and all these other things, that'd be awesome too. So give me one
Are you
second here.
a scratch golfer?
I hold my own. I mean, I'm all right.
You're okay.
I'm okay.
I mean,
So I'm sure. Did you talk about this to James Bishop? Did you talk to James that is on the Core 4 team? Did you talk to him about golf?
not yet. I
Not
mean,
yet. He's more of like the golf enthusiast. I mean, he has pretty incredible connections. He went to Scotland and played St Andrews. Um, I'm just I'm decent, but I teach it.
what I was going to say.
I got into the business, and this is actually what gets me into the forex market is, in order for me to make ends meet, afford to pay for golf, afford to travel. I became an instructor. So I got hooked up with this franchise called Golf Tech. They do primarily indoor instruction, and I was running a franchise down in South Florida. So from West Palm Beach down to Miami, I had 4 stores, and I'm checking in all the pros. We're fostering these deals with green grass facilities so we can play indoors and outdoors with the clients that sign up for these lesson packages. And one of my clients was in Miami, in Brickell Key downtown, and he would come in every day. He came in every day to our studio, around like lunchtime. So it's like it's not a traditional suit guy. It's like he's not a banker. He's not a to my knowledge a hedge fund manager or anything crazy. He rolled in on a scooter, t-shirt, shorts, played golf at Doral 3 or 4 times a week. Seemed like he had a pretty chill lifestyle. But I found out that he was a forex trader. So he and I got to know each other really well. I played a ton of golf with him. He never paid for a golf lesson for me because I was super interested in what he's doing as a trader. So my first exposure to it was it looks like a video game to me. And I'm an 80s kid. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up on Atari and Nintendo, and I still have, PlayStation 4 because I play Fortnite. So I'm still a gamer at heart. Um, and Forex to me was like playing a video game. If I can, see the chart do this and I can have the indicators line up and give me a green arrow or a red arrow, I'll just follow it. And what's funny is I can play games, I can follow rules. Um, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like playing a video game. I had days where I would follow every signal and lose. And I was like, what the heck? And then, in natural, like kind of
Yeah.
Murphy's Law, it's like I lose, 3, 4 trades in a row, and then I'm just exhausted and stressed for the morning. And then the big winner comes later on in that day. So it's just, I was trading the way this guy was trading, which was super small time frames. He never looked at anything larger than a 1 hour time frame. He scalped one currency pair for about 2.5 to 3 hours a day, and it was hyper focused. But it was, to me, it was noisy. Like I didn't love the strategy. I did okay with him because the system was simple. Most you're going to risk is 20 pips. If you get to plus 10, move your stop loss. If you get to plus 20, take your profit and move your stop loss and trail it. And I had a lot of plus ones back in the day, which I look back and when I first started trading, that probably cost me thousands of dollars within the first, 3 to 6 months of trading. It was just plus one, plus one, plus one. So the system worked, but man, if I just took plus 10 at a standard lot, make $100 a day, I would have been a lot happier. But instead, I was like trying to follow the rules, trying to let these winners run, and a lot of plus ones. So I learned a lot. It was when you're in the markets every day, and I heard you use the word cheat, and I don't think that's what this is. I think that what this is look, I have a passion now for all that I do in the markets. I do this stuff every single day. I'm in the markets every single day. I'm at my computer probably 6 to 8 to 10 hours a day. That's for me to do. So I think we could use maybe a shortcut, maybe accelerated learning path, but it's
Oh,
like
oh
it's
no.
not. I mean,
Hold
we're doing it
hold
legitimately. Obviously, it's like,
hold
and it's not. You can't cheat the markets, right? The market goes up, down, sideways. You're either with it or you're not, and it's my job to do that too.
hold on.
So it's
Hold
not
on.
like I have this secret sauce. It's like I'm just disciplined. I just been doing it for a long time, and I'm disciplined where I can see it. I can see a setup and see a chart, and not necessarily force a trade. I can wait for price to come to me.
Hold
So
on.
and that just comes with time.
Hold on a second, because I'm glad that you said this because I
Okay,
hope that none of our community misunderstood. I'm talking about the community. You're the professional,
sure.
but there are so many people out here, including myself, that have tried to butcher the market and to figure it out and not be looking at it the way that you look at it, to see
Mhm.
it the way you see it. And so what ultimately happens is I go play basketball and teach my basketball classes. I got my 4 kids. I got all this stuff that's going on. And hey, I'm going to go in here and spend 15 minutes and do some trading and
Mhm.
think that I can make some legitimate money. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
So what I mean cheat is because I have a superstar named Chris Pulver. I have a superstar. If I had an opportunity to have Michael Jordan check into a game for me,
Mhm.
as good as I was at basketball, Michael was better.
Right.
Why would I even check in the game if I could say, Michael, you go on in there if I'm trying to win? So you are the Michael Jordan. And you have to accept that because you put the time, the resources, and became enriched with knowledge, and you're on a frequency
Mhm.
with the market that very few people in the world are. And you know that. And so for our community to be able to learn from you, to be able to actually follow your lead, especially with Streamwise Capital,
Mhm.
then they're ensuring, I'm not going to say a guaranteed win because there's no guarantees in life. But when you line up the stars and all the dots and everything that you need to line up, then it looks a lot like Chris Pulver can help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and it really boils down to this. I mean, I am an active trader. I am going to be in the markets every single day. I will be improving positions. I will be finding new trades. I will be, managing what I think is best, whether it's let winners run, eliminate risk, whether it's cut losers off. I make those decisions every day. So to your point, I mean, sure, I can make that decision if there's a way for, you know, me to handle client money and do the same thing. It's like, that's my job. I think that, I've said this for the last several years. I think that active trading and active management is far better than passive.
Yeah,
I do have a concern going into the next 3 to 5 years where the markets are going, and how we've had like big boom and bust cycles, and we've had more difficulty and more drama, and all these extremes have just played out where there's just a ton of unnecessary volatility. I mean, just like literally today as we're doing this interview, we officially have eclipsed the 2 year drawdown. So the S&P 500 was in a 2 year drawdown, the Nasdaq, the Dow, nearly a 2 year drawdown. And obviously, 2022 was a big correction year. We had a wild 2020, but 2023 was a comeback year. And so it took 2 years just to have people not lose money anymore, right?
right,
If you're a passive investor and you had your peak in income in 2020 2021, you've been sitting and waiting to see, am I going to make new highs in my account? Is my retirement account going up? Am I preserving my savings in my retirement? Um, and
So is that a good thing now that it's eclipsed? Are we heading in the right direction now?
Well, it's a great thing now because obviously the market in 2022 was down anywhere between 22 and 38%. So, I mean, imagine this. Imagine let's just use a really simple number like in 2020 and 2021 with the COVID dip and the melt up that we saw and the crazy stimulus, the global economy throughout there, that you had an all-time high in your retirement account of, let's say, $1 million. Well, if and you're excited, right? It's like, man, I just went from 700K to $1 million, like retirement's looking good. And then 2020 comes in and takes that $1 million down to 700K. That's
Right,
a big difference of just the market and the volatility wiping out your savings or wiping out your retirement, and you didn't do anything. You're still participating,
right.
right? But most passive investors are not really timing the market. They've been told by Warren Buffett to never try to time the market, never try to beat the market, just keep dollar cost averaging in. But here's an example: the Nikkei 225, which is Japan's major index, it hasn't had a new high since 1989. So, worst case scenario for the US would be, what if the US had a situation like that? What if we had a 5 year, 10 year drawdown where the markets never made new highs? That would be the worst
Yeah,
for passive investors where their money is, I mean, they might get it back. I mean, by this time we've had a pretty solid run the last like 7 or 8 years in the Nikkei, but it's still not at the 1989 highs. It's climbing back there. It's getting back there. The Japanese yen and the Bank of Japan's probably on mission to do it, but it's crazy. And so, like I said, I'm an active trader, and it's not just a one trick pony. I mean, I trade currencies, I trade stocks, I trade options, I trade futures. I have some crypto exposure. We just had the Bitcoin ETFs launch last week and approved for 11 of them. So that's going to be interesting to see how the dynamics play out with, get into a crypto wallet and try to keep everything off grid, or now you can have participations that just go with the spot price of Bitcoin. There is more regulation coming, which I think is good. And at the end of the day, I, as a trader investor, I just want to have things I can trade. I just want to have things that I can invest in, believe in, find direction in, and exploit it. Because there's a lot of strategies that I use where I don't care what direction it goes. As long as we have some movement, I can make some money. And so I tend to do that where if the market goes up or down, or goes up or down or sideways, I could take 3 trades, lose 2, win 1, and still walk away with money. So that's not a bad way to be positioned most of the time, where I can always carve out and move the needle, and I just do it
Okay.
actively where, over 100 trades or 1,000 trades, we're making money.
So let me go into this a little deeper because obviously I know you and we're friends, and so we talk about this all the time. But you prefer options, and Streamwise Capital, which is your company, it's a CTA, it's an options company. Is that correct?
It's not an options company. It's just it's the way it's one asset that I trade. But for me, options and equities and building a portfolio around that type of trading is just a much better defined risk strategy.
Defined risk. Okay, that's
Yep.
what I was going for.
Yep.
And so when you talk about defined risk, tell us a little bit about what that means and give us an example, please.
Sure. So it means this. I could use let's talk. I'll talk in the language of just like a stock, and I'll talk language as far as like a currency, and I'm going to equate it to why I would prefer to trade it like I can trade options. So let's say I wanted to buy Apple. Okay,
Mhm.
Apple right now is trading at $190. If I were to buy Apple and buy 100 shares of Apple, it's going to cost me $19,000 in cash to buy that and hold it. Now, Apple could go from, $190 to $200, and that's a 5% move, and your, $20,000 investment makes you couple thousand dollars, but you're tying up a ton of capital. And what you can do instead is you don't have to outlay $19,000 to buy Apple. You can trade options and you could buy a call, or you could do credit spreads and all these fancy words. But basically, it means I have the luxury of controlling what would be 100 shares of Apple for much, much, much less. So
Mm,
I can still generate the returns on those positions where I have decent upside, where, I could risk, let's say, $100 on an Apple option and turn that $100 into $200 or $300 in profit. Now, obviously, I'm not making thousands of dollars because I'm tying up so little capital, but the ability to have $100 become $200, that's a 100% gain on that position. Having $19,000 become $20,000 is not 100% on that position. That's a tiny little chunk with way more capital tied up. Does that make sense?
it does. And so that means you can scale this too. So if you
Sure.
wanted to do that same $2,000 or whatever, you could, and then get 4,000 if you felt like that defined risk experience from a scale would be worth the risk. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is some of the wealthiest traders that I know, and some of the biggest and most amazing success stories that I've ever, seen in interviews or read about, they've all been option traders. I
Mm,
mean, the ability to take a $10,000, $20,000 account and turn it into 50 to $100,000 within a couple of years, it happens to me, in my opinion, way more frequently in the options market as options traders. Granted, active options traders, but it's able to happen more so there with discipline and a system and strategy than I've seen it in any other market. I mean, look, I'm
that
good at trading currencies, I'm good at trading stocks, but options, I mean, there's just so many ways to, take a position from start to finish. It's defined risk where I know that, look, the Apple, for example, Apple could go to infinity, or it could go to zero, and I still have a risk where I'm only going to risk $100, or I'm only going to make a couple $100. Does that make sense?
it
So I
does.
mean, that's what I love about translating this to currencies. I'll just share a little story. 2022, as the market was dropping and the dollar index was going crazy, we had a big move in the yen last year, or 2020, yeah, 2022 and 2023, big moves in the yen, big moves in the dollar. And I'll just equate it to this: in 2022, when the dollar was going crazy and the yen was getting super weak, I had to hedge my butt off because I was short on a really good technical setup that I would trade 99% of the time. I would take the same setup. The problem was it was the yen. The problem was the Bank of Japan and the yen don't necessarily have to obey traditional technicals like most currencies do. So I watched the dollar yen go from 120 to 150, which is 3,000 pips. And now, granted, I didn't just take a huge drawdown and just sit on it. I mean, I closed out positions basically every 500 pips. I closed out, I waited, I got back in, I reestablished position. So I'm fighting for about 6 months. As this was happening, I at least had the presence of mind to hedge and get into like Aussie yen long and Euro yen long and just go against the yen in general. So as I'm shorting one currency pair, I can be long against
Yeah.
it on the others. And so I made money as a net result. But the stress and the annoyance of watching a currency go against me for 6 months, and I'm like, am I just that stubborn? Am I just that dumb
Right.
that I'm not following this currency like I should be? So the good thing is I hedged appropriately. I managed my risk. We came out ahead. But if I could translate that into an option trade, Brandon, I could have taken a trade that I set on the dollar yen, and I would have had a defined risk from day one, and it goes against me, and I never lose more than that defined risk, right? And if somebody's watching this, they're like, well, Chris, you could just use a stop loss. Yeah, I know I could use a stop loss, but this was a position trade. This goes back to the big inspiration I had as a forex trader was watching a guy turn $100,000 position into $1 million in profit in 6 months. He didn't use stop losses. He used time and he used price action. He used major highs and lows, and he held positions as long as they took. I'm in positions right now in my portfolio where I am long against the Swiss, Aussie Swiss, Euro Swiss, CAD Swiss, Pound Swiss, New Zealand Swiss, Dollar Swiss. I'm long in all those currency pairs. The technicals are fantastic. The positive interest rates we're getting right now, we get paid to hold these positions, and I'm looking at. I mean, if my position's clear, I'll probably make 25 or 30,000 pips on just those positions.
This year.
So yeah, I'm gonna hold it. Yeah, I mean, I've been holding him since like September of last year, but I'll carry it into this year because it's not to me. It's not a win. It's like I don't know when, but I'm pretty confident that they'll get there. And so I'm willing to ride these times out because I'll still make a 3 to 4% buffer on just holding the trades. And then as far as the gains and the pips and the technicals, that would probably, I mean, realistically, my portfolio is probably going to make 30 to 40% on these positions with a single digit drawdown. So I could take like a 5% drawdown, turn it into 25, 30% profit. That's the plan.
You know, we're not going to get it all in one interview.
Hmm.
I just want people to get to know you. And if they don't actually understand that you're talking about remembering things that happened years ago and what the price was, this is a part of who you are. This is the
Yep.
frequency that you're on. And so before we close, I just want to say thank you for you being you. Thank you for you being willing to take the time and make the sacrifices to become a subject matter expert, because that's the teammate that I'm always looking for, because I'm making those sacrifices to do whatever my role is.
Hmm.
And so to know what your role is, to be able to define your role, to be able to express it and articulate it because it's a part of your being, man, brother, thank you for that. That means
Yeah.
a lot.
And thank you. I mean, ever since I mean, I know that we've known each other for a while now, and the conference, the core four, I'm excited to see where it goes. And as I've said to all the traders that I've had for followers over the years, and the trading rooms that I've run, and the services that I have, I am here to help. I mean, I am still 23 years, 24 years into these markets. I am still a humble retail trader.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's still what I am, and I am no different, no better, no worse than just somebody that's just getting started. Outside of, I've got a little experience under my belt. I've been doing it for a while.
You got a lot of
Yeah.
experience. I got to see your jump shot too, because people are telling me that you can hit that golf ball, but you also can shoot. Is that right?
Is it awkward to you to watch a lefty?
No, I'm just telling you that you're not going to be able to outshoot me. Whatever you are in these markets is what I am in basketball,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to show and prove. So anyway, but listen, I don't want to take any more of your time. I know that you're itching to get back into the markets. I know we're going to see you on Sunday. The relationship that you have with Core 4, our community couldn't be more excited. Getting to know you is important. Getting to trust you is important. Getting to see what you're doing from week to week to week is important. And so when people can then see that, trust that, and experience that, then they're going to want to make a connection and build a relationship. And so Core 4, myself, we're all excited for that. With Streamwise Capital, on the next show, I really want to dive in a little deeper because I want people to understand that they can participate in Streamwise Capital, and actually the money stays in their account. At where is the account held?
Wherever they want it. I have the broker that I work with for my managed accounts is Tasty Trade because I'm primarily doing options, so I better define risk. The client money is treated better there. They have great permissions. They treat IRA accounts a little bit better than your traditional IRA or cash account that has little to no leverage. They're also limited on different instruments they can trade. So Tasty opens up the doors where you can trade. You can trade. I can trade futures. I can trade crypto. I can trade all sorts of stuff. Leveraged instruments, where all that stuff is usually red taped or red flagged for some other brokers. So Tasty Trade is where I have client money, and yeah, it's been great. I mean, you need something, somebody's there to answer. Clients are taken care of, so that's where I have it right now, and they've been an awesome trading platform.
I'm going to put your email in the description so people can email you and contact you and learn more. And then also, we'll see you on the show. I mean, there's so much more that I don't want to overwhelm the community, but I want them to understand that Chris Pulver is real. I look at you as a guru. I look at you as a subject matter expert, and I look at you as a friend. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Brandon.
I'll talk to you soon.